The NFL Honors Ceremony awards NFL players for their performance over the long season, especially since this season was extra long. And while it doesn't take into account the playoffs, typically the playoffs do have a little bit of an effect on the voting. So with that being said, the NFL Honors Award Ceremony is on Thursday, so let's get into it. What's up, guys? I'm Tyler Coker, and I'm your host for today's episode of Today with Tyler. I hope you enjoy. We'll start with the hardest award to predict and go on from there. So the hardest one to me is the Comeback Player of the Year. I personally was a big Nick Bosa fan from pretty much the beginning of the season, that Nick Bosa would come in and play at a very stellar level, as he always does, and then earn himself the Comeback Player of the Year. The only issue is Joe Burrow also is a major candidate for the Comeback Player of the Year, and not only is he a quarterback, but he's played extremely well recently, and that recency bias and quarterback bias in the entire award ceremony is definitely going to have a major impact on who ends up winning. Nick Bosa had an outstanding season, and in most seasons would be the Comeback Player of the Year, but Joe Burrow was also fantastic and pretty much defied any odd you can find to even get to the Super Bowl. So they're going to probably give it to Joe Burrow, and it's not like he doesn't deserve it. So credit to Joe Burrow for an amazing comeback after tearing his ACL and really just having an ugly injury. Being able to come back and play at such a high level is completely admirable. Unfortunately, the Defensive Rookie of the Year is going to be a Cowboy. Micah Parsons had an outstanding rookie year, and no defensive rookie really came close to Micah Parsons in terms of just overall play. It's that simple. Like, Micah Parsons is a really, really good player, and already he seems to be one of the better linebackers, so he has a really, really bright future ahead of him, and this is only the beginning of the awards he's going to get during his hopefully long NFL career. Offensive Rookie of the Year is sort of as clear, but not for the right reasons. I have wide receiver Jamar Chase getting it. Jamar Chase had an outstanding rookie year, and it's not very much a question on who's going to win it, but I want to give a little bit of credit to the guys who should have a chance, but since they have positional value, they never will win it. Creed Humphrey is one of the best centers in the NFL. The only issue is he's a center, and centers will never win any award unless it's a center-based award. So credit to Creed Humphrey for being such a good center for the Chiefs and being able to fill right into that refurbished offensive line. And then I also want to give a shout out to Rashawn Slater. He stepped right in as the Chargers left tackle and really just was a pro from day one. He has done a great job and is going to be a major factor in the Chargers going forward and their ability to play well and keep making the playoffs, because they have a very bright future, and a lot of it revolves around Rashawn Slater being able to block for Justin Herbert. Defensive Player of the Year is also fairly simple. TJ Watt has won it hands down. He tied the sack record for the most sacks in a season, and he was injured for so long that he ended up beating it in earlier than 16 games. So great job by TJ Watt. He may not have earned it last year. I thought Donald deserved it last year, but TJ Watt undeniably won it this year. Credit to him for being such a good player and being able to come back from getting punched in the face, because a lot of people really thought that TJ Watt deserved the award last year, but this year nobody can come close unless they pull another Aaron Donald, but that would be ridiculous. So TJ Watt should absolutely be the Defensive Player of the Year for the NFL. Offensive Player of the Year is a little bit more clouded, but in the end, Cooper Kupp seems to be, at least to me, the standalone go-ahead winner. He won the Triple Crown, which means he led the league in receiving yards, receptions, and receiving touchdowns. So it's not very often you get to see a wide receiver do that. We haven't seen it since Steve Smith, I believe, which was well before most of us started watching football. So credit to Cooper Kupp for having such a great season. Jonathan Taylor had a pretty good case, but in the end, he couldn't quite pull it off, especially since he faltered a little bit in the last two games of the season. And I mean, I guess you could say someone like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers could also be in the conversation if they don't win MVP. But Offensive Player of the Year is usually the non-quarterback MVP for offense. It's typically the person who has a stellar season, but because they're not a quarterback, they'll never win MVP. So that's absolutely Cooper Kupp. In terms of versatility, I would also see Deebo Samuel at least in the conversation because he had such a breakout season, but I could see next season being the season where Deebo can kind of fully be unlocked and become the Offensive Player of the Year. All right, now MVP, the award everyone wants to know about. I personally have Aaron Rodgers winning it. This may not be the most common. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't done research on what other people think, but Aaron Rodgers had an amazing season, and nobody else really standing in his way. I think Aaron Rodgers is by far the most efficient quarterback, so it should absolutely go to him. And yes, his team didn't do well in the playoffs, but that shouldn't have an impact on how well he did during the season and just how stellar he was despite having such a bad week one. So credit to Aaron Rodgers. He had a great season. I'd love to see him repeat. The only thing I could see stepping in his way is that Tom Brady retired. And so by Tom Brady retiring, I could very well see them giving Tom Brady the MVP because, they want a storybook ending for Tom Brady. He didn't win the Super Bowl. They've got to get him some sort of something to bid him farewell. And Aaron Rodgers isn't leaving yet. So I could see them kind of falling for the narrative and wanting Tom Brady to win, but I think numbers-wise, I would really like to see Aaron Rodgers win. He had a great season, but if Tom Brady wins, credit to him. He did lead in a lot of categories. It's just, if you look at the percentage of passes thrown versus those categories, Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback, although we're pretty much picking in between two great quarterbacks, so there's no real loss here, and whoever wins it earned it. Thank you for listening.